Oh, looky there, it's number one, like us.
This is episode number 34 of Dev Ranch. Zip it, how devs gatekeep the internet. Uh-oh. So, we're sponsored by ourselves. I don't know why this is up here, but it is. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on some things and jasontucker.blog.
I'm Faye Reed. I do things at Faye Reed Media on all the things. Bye.
And y'all know who it is. It's the birthday boy, Jason Cosper, back at it again on the world's most influential WordPress podcast.
Speaking of that podcast, go find us and watch us and listen to us. Wherever it is you listen to podcasts. And you can also go and hit us up on Discord, WPwatercooler.com/Discord.
Like how you're waiting for that beat to drop.
What is going on with like the video stuff today? But things are broken.
Oh, wow. Is this thing on?
It is.
Everything's
Okay,
muted?
hi.
What's going on here?
No.
No. Tap, tap,
I
tap.
literally can't hear you.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
BRB.
Cosper broke the internet with his birthday. Oh, we lost Tucker.
Oh, holy crap. All right.
Well, having some technical difficulties over here at Dev Branch today.
Yeah.
But I think we can take this moment to say happy birthday to Jason Cosper. It's his birthday. So wish him well wishes at on the internet.
Into my audio.
Sorry, hi, welcome back. And then also, don't you have a thing you do for your birthday?
Yes. Every year I ask folks to donate to the Bakersfield Burrito Project. They serve our hungry and unhoused neighbors here in town, and I can make sure that a link finds its way into the show notes for folks to make a donation to that. They really manage to help a lot of people with just some beans, rice, cheese, and tortillas every Sunday for like the past 15 years. So a really amazing group of people who I'm honored to call my friends, and they really do a lot. So if you've got a little extra cash, please send it their way.
I think we should do a new segment at the beginning of every show that's like, here's a shout out to the nonprofit we're supporting today.
Yeah, no kidding. And of course,
help people, actual people, and I do the irony of us promoting you getting a birthday nonprofit promo is funny.
I've done it for the past few years now,
a long time, but it's very fancy. Yeah. It's very in vogue, as it were.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think it's good to for nonprofits when you're considering where to put your money, is that you put your money where people are, because people really need help right now. A lot of people really do, and not just like people on the margins, but like people in the tech industry. I don't know if y'all got not that this is like exactly what we're talking about, but in a way, I could segue us there. PayPal laid off, I believe, 15% of their staff this week. That's a lot of people. It was like 2,000 people or something. And there was a whole nother round of layoffs in the tech industry. Not like the Google had some. So in the tech industry, like proper, but then also in like, kind of like the actual tech companies, but then also like PayPal and like sort of those companies that are tech companies, but, kind of in different markets. So that was their turn this time, PayPal and stuff there. So, I was passing a billboard the other day that it said, and I don't even remember what it was for, but it said, we went from donating to the food bank to needing the food bank. And I think that it's just, when you have so many people and colleagues in your life who have been let go, or, and we're in an industry that's really being transformed by AI, by multimillionaires, billionaires, and the merging of, the capital tech fusion that has been happening. People are assets, right? And those assets can get released if they're not assets, they're liabilities. Sorry, and that they're not assets, they are liabilities in that approach. Someone's salary, right, is a cost that can be cut in a reorganization, for example, to show that, oh, we're actually making more money, when they're not actually making any more money, but they are actually instead just literally not paying people salaries anymore. And I have multiple friends who are actually actively looking for jobs in the tech industry, and they're not finding a lot. And that's really different than it has been in the past. And I have a whole lot of other things to say about this, but I just think that it's really important to think maybe this is not the time for vanity projects, as it is so much for really supporting your community, like Bakersfield, for example, where you live, or wherever y'all might be listening from today.
For sure.
Sorry. Anyway.
So gatekeeping.
Gatekeeping.
Oh, I was trying to figure out where we were at because I had to leave for a second.
Well, I went on a tangent because we were waiting for you, sort of.
No way. You went on a tangent and you're waiting for me?
Stretching it out to try to get you back.
And then I had a point to make about,
yeah. We don't have to do it all over again. It's fine.
I have to listen to the show like 6 times after this, so we're good.
See, this is why I love you guys so much, because you totally know. You're like, no, if we don't stay right at this point, she will explain her point again. Or we're just going to say, no, we got it. And then I'm like, cool. This is.
So how do we get into gatekeeping from here? What's the
Oh, I got it. I got your segue.
Yeah, please do.
Segue.
Yeah, basically, it's like when we're talking about people being laid off, who gets laid off, right? Is it top seniority people? Is it people who are, towing the company line? Is it people who are like pure devs? Like, I think that's, there's a gatekeeping that we're talking about, which is gatekeeping other people from coming in. But also there's a gatekeeping of sorts that happens from the top down when making those decisions about who to keep, or what divisions to keep, or what's important, what's replaceable by AI. Anyway,
quite often it's last one in, first one out.
Or if you work in marketing.
Right.
The marketing team, and then last one in, first one out.
And this is why AI started replacing marketing stuff. It was because they were like, okay, we're gonna get rid of them anyhow, so let's try to figure out if we could like go through here and replace everybody with AI.
Yeah, no one needs that.
The thing that kind of sparked this topic today is there was an interesting little bug that ended up creeping its way into the latest release of WordPress 6.4.3. This is a dev branch, so we can kind of get into the weeds a little bit. So effectively, the way that not only, it turns out, Mac OS zips its files is invalid under the way that WordPress 6.4.3 like unzips files. Apparently there's reports that people using Linux on the desktop, I think this is supposed to finally be the year of Linux on the desktop, people using GNOME for their window manager on Linux.
I thought Ubuntu.
Yeah, there were some reports of people compressing files using Ubuntu, also running into this problem. But effectively, the way that that Mac OS, Ubuntu, a few other distributions like compress files was not compatible with how 6.4.3 handles uncompressing zip files. The problem with this is, in a lot of cases, there are developers who will do. I know I've done this. I'm guilty of doing this. I develop on a Mac. I've developed on a Mac for 20 years now. I have the command key tattoo to prove it. I'm a fan. I wouldn't say I'm a fanboy, but I'm a fan. And I have had to distribute a plugin kind of quick and dirty. and just kind of, use the archive tool, zipped something up, sent it along to somebody, for like a quick fix or whatever, that quick fix won't work under 6.4.3 if someone takes that zip file that I've, sent and decompress it. This has been recognized as a bug, but there were a few people arguing in the whole core track ticket around this, that we need to hold ourselves to a standard, and people need to use continuous integration tools to distribute their plugins, and all of this, like, people need to use the thing that I use. And if they did, things would be better for everybody, and we'd all have flying cars and walkable cities, and
The tech
there
bro
would
promise.
be yeah.
Let me be free. Don't restrain me, and I will solve all your problems with the computer and my software.
But in turn, I will restrain the way that you want to develop, because I think it is
that doesn't
wrong.
matter. See, that doesn't.
Yeah.
That's irrelevant.
It was like the whole argument that was happening about, like, let's not fix the bug and force people to do things the right way, like, completely goes against the WordPress, like, project ethos of backwards compatibility, of, like, meeting people where they are, trying to make things easy for people. And in dev circles, specifically in, like, WordPress dev circles, there is this kind of practice of doing it wrong. That's a refrain that
Like
has
contrary, or like that other people are doing it wrong.
That other people are doing it
Oh,
wrong. Like,
right.
if you want to do things a particular way, you must do it this way. Otherwise, you are doing it wrong. I
Right.
mean, the prime example of this, and it doesn't bother me. I know it bothers some people, but the capital P, dang it, like, that function in WordPress that makes sure that WordPress has a capital W and a capital P no matter what. Like, if you don't do it that way, you are doing it wrong. I see it and I go, okay, this person doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about, but it doesn't bother me so much that I'm like, okay, like, oh, you must fix this. You're a moron, whatever. I know Tucker jokingly spells it all lowercase. He's like, screw it. I'm spelling it WordPress now, all lowercase.
Yeah.
Like, there are
autonomy. I will take it where I can find it.
Right.
I think as WordPress grows, and I think that now that, like, we're in our 20th year of doing all of this,
we shouldn't still be having these stupid conversations about why, like, hey, everybody, we're a project that preserves backwards compatibility. Ta-da!
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. And by the way, a lot of people dev on Macs. And
right.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I don't really make custom plugins anymore because I left that world a long time ago, because updates, licensing, all that.
Themes too.
Themes, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
But I did not know, literally until yesterday or the day before, whatever day this was, that there was a difference between zipping your file there or through some, arcane WPC, I don't know, just the command line, not the WordPress command line, but a command line. Like, did I know that was different? I did not. So, maybe that's because I didn't go to computer science school.
And as Courtney points out in the chat, and as Jason was trying to point out, this is even extensions, child themes,
anything that is zipped. The basic premise of it is that we upload our zip files for these things, and it it unzips them. Like, so I can imagine just being in a certain phase in a site development, and you're like, nope, and then you're like, wait, what's happening? I'm keeping everything up to date. Like, I'm doing all my stuff, like, especially because there is not really a push, but there's definitely a culture of put all your customizations in plugins, right? Instead of modifying files in hard code or whatnot. So, like, if you're putting your stuff in plugins, then, you're probably dealing with just kind of homespun plugins more often than plugins that need to go through, the repository check or, any of that. So you're just, building them for clients. And I mean, I don't know how one would know that, to be honest, like, unless you are a, like super Debbie, like, there's so much to know within development that understanding the intricacies of zip file archiving, like, I
But
just
who knew?
not,
Yeah.
like,
Right.
Who knew it was what kind of cardboard are you using to ship the product,
right. It's like, is it 2/3 of an inch or is it 1/4 of an inch cardboard?
Yeah, is it correlated? Is it not,
Right.
whatever.
Like,
It's just like
someone knows about
corrugated
that,
rather.
right? Someone knows the weight association for a cardboard box, and the different widths of it or whatever that means it can hold whatever. I do not know that. So I just go to the store and buy a box. And then I'm like, oh, this box didn't work. So I'm carrying books in it and the bottom fell out. But I mean, that's actually a really good analogy because these devs are like, well, why didn't you know about the width of the cardboard, you moron?
Yeah.
And that's
mine's made with artesian paper that you can like sit here and do stuff with and then build the box with it, and then we decorate it a certain way, or we accidentally throw extra little bits into it that we weren't aware of because the machine that builds the box is putting these little bits inside there, and at the end you open the box and you pour the whole thing into the website and little bits of the stuff fall out, get in there, and now it's
I did not know that. For the
working
record,
up the works.
Those files, they're not in the file structure. So I don't know where you have to look to find whatever tidbits that the Mac.
It's the way that the internet works, the way that computers work.
Like if there's nothing in there, this is like it's like a long time ago discovering the htaccess file, like a really long time ago.
Right.
Like,
sure.
Why can't I find my htaccess file? Like and then someone finally tells you, oh, it's hidden by default. You have to go look for it. You have to find, oh, look, there it is. That was a long time ago that I learned that, but it's the same kind of thing. It's like, there's nothing there. So like, how would you even see it? You know what I mean? Like, other than it presents in a bug. Obviously, some of those people knew that Mac zipping was far inferior to command line zipping, but like, that wasn't even the point. What I really got confused about this issue with is that wasn't even actually the point of the upgrades that they made, right? Like, it wasn't about blocking certain types of zip files, right? The thing that introduced the bug wasn't intending to say you can't unzip Mac files with extra stuff in it. Like, that was no one's goal. So for some people to be in there being like, well, you just don't know what you're doing to use, they have to have the headdress. You don't know what you're doing because you're not doing it because you're doing it wrong. But like, and then fighting to be like, well, I don't know why we have to have a replacement for this. We shouldn't fix it, when it's like, that wasn't even the point. So like, why wouldn't you fix it?
It's so interesting too, because you actually have people, core developers, people who have like led releases, people who have Aaron Jordan was in there, like, yes, absolutely, this is a bug, we need to fix this bug, and started working on patches, testing, all of this stuff to make sure that the release, the next release, so WordPress 6.4.4, whenever that manages to come out, and hopefully it comes out soon. And I understand that they might give a little bit of breathing room. It may be like maybe next week before we see this. As somebody who works at a web host, and Peter, we had this up on the screen earlier, premium plugins that he saved on his PC no longer work with 6.3 without downgraded WordPress. Downgraded WordPress means insecure WordPress, because 6.4.3 was a security fix,
right?
Or unzipping and rezipping locally. Wait,
but why would unzipping and rezipping locally, if you're on a Mac, still work?
Peter is an experienced WordPress user, developer, etc., and he knows what needs to be done. But the people who, at the hosting company I work at, like, we have people writing in going, I don't know why this doesn't
Broken.
work anymore. Yeah, this is
It
broke.
broke.
Fix it.
Yeah. But I think the interesting conversation, actually, not whether or not this should be fixed or whatever, is also the conversation of when should this be fixed, because there being a patch and a plugin. So there's actually a plugin that patches it, right? So everyone
Yes.
can go install the plugin. They funnily, and I hope they didn't zip it on a Mac. Sorry, joke. They are gonna take that, like, how do we, like, it's more work to like get a plugin out to people, to like market a solution for a plugin, than it would be in theory to like spin up a hot fix kind of pushed out, like a 3.1, a 6.4.3.1 or something like that, or 0.2. And then because the people who are having this problem, who, by the way, are people who are either have enabled auto updates for their core software, or they're on a managed host who has done the update, or they are aware of that and are doing updates. Like, this is not a segment, like, this won't affect people who like aren't updating, who aren't paying attention to their site. So even that kind of framing of, oh, this won't affect people because they won't notice because everyone's installing things through the plugin repo. It's like, no, but actually the people who would be affected by this are the people who are not going through those because they're dealing with their stash of, premium plugins, or they're doing their own homespun stuff, or they're whatever it is they're doing, right? Like that. And now they have to, one, go figure out what the problem is, two, go through that entire GitHub that entire track, just dialogue, like scene,
Right.
play. I don't know what, it's so long. Go through that whole thing to figure out that there is a plugin, and then be like, go install this plugin in order to do the thing that they're trying to do. Like, those are so many steps. And this, really just the idea that we like wouldn't fix something quickly that isn't so core to WordPress, or we just be like, it's fine to wait, is really disregarding. It is another way, in my view, that devs gatekeep the internet, because they're like, oh, just fix it with this, whatever, blah, 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 multi-step process over here. And these other people don't matter.
Right.
And what it ends up doing is it just makes WordPress look bad. That's it.
Yeah.
It makes WordPress, like, if you keep it up to date, it's going to get broken. If a paid software or a SaaS has an error, they fix that stuff immediately because the customers will leave. But our attitude in WordPress is like, oh, well, DIY, it'll happen when it happens. Like, that doesn't breed confidence in a consumer. Right. And then the hosts have to have that. Oh, it's not really broken. It's kind of broken. Just install this plugin. Like, you're doing this little dance that we've been working so hard to get away from, that WordPress is insecure or breaks easily or, is complicated. Like, we're just reinforcing that narrative for no reason. Because people are like, oh, we shouldn't have to do an update for this.
I'm just having this like really weird realization that whatever files you zip into this zip file that you do on whatever bespoke computer that you're doing this on, ultimately end up on somebody else's website just willy-nilly with no like screening.
You mean like when you're downloading plugins for stuff, or like through
no, like I'm a developer, I made some plugin or theme or whatever, and then I accidentally put like my, I don't know, let's just say like my social security number inside of a file on accident or something, or I put in some text file of something that I, my shopping list or whatever, that could essentially land on a bunch of people's websites if I'm like Yoast or something.
File. Well, I mean, and that's also an argument against sort of the non-repo based plugins and things you download from stuff like Envato or whatever, right? That's always kind of been the catch 22 there. It's like, oh, you can do all this other kind of external ecosystem, or like the second layer of the ecosystem for all that stuff. You download it from wherever it is, but I mean, there's a huge trust factor there, right? Like, especially when you can now really spin up websites. And I've been doing some deep dives on some like kind of edge plugins, and I can tell when a text is written either by AI or by a non-native speaker or like someone who hasn't marketed, whatever, you can just, whether it's, you know, the chat or the change log or the sales copy, you know, I'm like, well, that, you know, that's clearly like just sales copy or just like bullshit change log stuff. So, you know, they're still out there. Like, I think that we have really, as a culture, maybe as a tech world, everyone's like, oh, everyone's on the internet, but like, turns out there are still bad actors out there, you know? So you could, in theory, spin up an entire plugin site, do this whole thing, get a bunch of people to download it direct from your site, upload it to their computers. Who's paying attention to that?
Yeah.
Nobody. Guess what?
I know this wasn't the topic that we were wanting to discuss, but it sounds like we're starting to uncover some of the openness of WordPress's distribution methods, I guess.
I think that it's part of this, because when you push people, and, you know, obviously I understand all the difficulties the plugin team has had, but like, for example, when people were being pushed out of, you know, the plugin repo, if it becomes really just overloaded with clones, non-useful data, you can't find stuff in there, then it inherently pushes people out. So in a way, even having that, just not having enough, I don't know, attention, like care put into something like the plugin repo or the themes repo pushes people out of that sort of controlled, safer ecosystem. And really, there is the Wild West out there. Like, what diligence do we all do necessarily on a new plugin that you might come along? And that's us who are, you know,
negative 50.
We're probably doing like, you know, plugins that, you know, have been around for 10 years or that we learned about at a WordCamp or whatever.
So one of the interesting things that I mean, I've known about this for a while, but one of the interesting things with using zipped files from a Mac, from some other, as Jason said, a bespoke computing solution, it is like I know specifically, and I can call this out. I don't think it's a bad thing. WP Rocket specifically has a bunch of kind of like child plugins for WP Rocket that and most people don't need them, but the people that need them really need them. And they are just these little kind of one-off things where it's like, oh, you're hosting in this particular kind of hosting environment, like we suppress having these things in your screen, or you know, like on your settings screen, we do this, we do that. And a lot of those, if you look at them, are like built outside of the repo. They live effectively like in a GitHub repository. You can go grab them, whatever. But, you know, say, you know, those are kind of made by their support staff and made by their developers to make sure that customers can have the functionality that they need without having to put that code just into the plugin for everybody. And I do think that having these little bespoke one-off plugins is ultimately a good thing. I think that the response from the core developers of like, no, of course we're going to fix this bug. Just because a few of you have a wild hair up your ass about the way that that Macs compress things, and that there's a .ds store directory, and like I don't need that, or you know, the way particular file handles are written, or whatever. Like, who cares? Who ultimately gives a crap? Like, sure, it's a little extra cruff. It makes your WordPress install not so pristine. But like, if you want a pristine WordPress install, have WordPress with no plugins. Just use the 2020 theme that is out the year that you started it, and never put anything on there. Like, everybody's WordPress installs are so fucking far from pristine that
like the reality of that is so real. Like
19 different sizes of one image. Come on.
And even hours, and I'll speak for myself, but like half the sites, I don't log into them all the time. Some have auto enables, like they're all in various, they're living things, right? They're like these dynamic things that are like, and we've got millions of plugins all the time updating, and the core. So it's like they're all in this sort of state of flux at all times. And if those files are not in any way presenting any sort of security risk, I imagine the performance impact is non-existent. Like, I don't understand what the actual issue would be with whatever like little like info file that Mac must be including in this thing. Like it's like an extra wrench or whatever in your IKEA box. You're like, cool, thanks. That's no big deal, right? Like, it's not going to break everything. I don't understand what the point is, but I think the key thing here is the way that information is received and what is done with that information, right? So in this particular ticket, you can see sort of what I would call the old wave and the new wave of devs dealing with things like this. And you can very sort of clearly see those two things. One is, screw you, it's not our problem, no one's fixing it, here's a plugin if you want, blah, blah, blah. You're not doing it right. Everything you're doing is lame. You probably don't know what you're doing. And then the other one is, gosh, it's important for us to preserve back compatibility, for the last 20 years. It's kind of our thing. And we'll get on that and we'll push a fix. And, here's some ways to fix that. Like, the attitude difference, the approach difference in that is so stark. And right now, maybe it's because we're in a transition, right, time between old dev ways that is sort of hopefully aging out. And I mean this from all the tech people, all the techno optimists, let's call them. And they're, they can take their money and they can go, put it in politics or whatever, and whatever they're trying to do. But, maybe the kind of the younger people, the newer wave, I don't want to use the word that I'm thinking of because it's just so loaded, but honestly, like, there is an awareness that has come into even tech, and probably WordPress is the sort of the leader in this, I would say, just because we have so many people that are users, right? This has been part of our community for a long time, is the breadth of people from the basic user to a serious core developer, right? And so we've always sort of had this dialogue, and we have much more attempts by the community to be inclusive, to be non-gatekeeped, to call out gatekeeping when it is happening. And I see that happening. Like, you can see that not the conflict, but literally the transition, I think, in this ticket, which I think is really interesting, that you can just kind of see the two approaches.
Don't
kind of exciting.
Don't build a drag and drop web interface and then complain that people are you have to use the command line to do the thing. It's like, are you kidding me?
Yes.
Like, this doesn't make sense.
Yes.
Like, this doesn't make sense. Like, oh, okay, I need you to run this special zip command in the desktop that's going to remove all the dot files, all the underscore Mac OS X files, all the stuff, right?
And then,
but by the way, I want you to go and drag and drop that into this box that's going to upload the file. It's like, well, why didn't I have to FTP it? I should have FTP'd it. Like, I don't understand why I'm having to, like, use this web interface now to move it over there. I don't know. It's
a great point of this is, I think this is in tech larger, but that's a great example of what that rough transition part in WordPress. Yeah. Because we have that. We have devs being like, why aren't you using the command line? And then you have, on the other hand, we're making this user friendly, so you don't ever have to touch a back end,
right.
And we're all over here like, are you forgetting about devs? And then
these are just the developers. You still have the customer who's like, I need to update the plugin that I just downloaded for $25 off some website for my cat blog, and now I have no idea what to do. What am I supposed to do here?
How do those people solve that problem? Where do they go? Like,
what's funny is in
most cases they end up going to their web host and going, hey, what the hell is wrong? I need you to fix this.
Right. And so then you have that information. You can say, here's this, here's that. And honestly, like, that is a really important component of this that I think hosting companies have really, even, WordPress itself sort of gatekeeps WordPress from the hosting companies. And I think this is an example of how crucial the hosting companies are to being the face of WordPress. Like, they are, like, people don't think, oh, I'm using WordPress, blah, blah, blah. They think I'm using GoDaddy, right? They're like, my site is on Bluehost. And when I don't talk to a WordPress person. I log into Bluehost, or I log into GoDaddy, I log into DreamHost, and I talk to my DreamHost support person, right? Like, that representation is so important, that connection. And WordPress is over here like, blah, blah, we don't even care, blah, blah. Oh man, every show we have, I'm just like ending with my face palmed lately.
So one of the things that Courtney brought in was talking about a workaround plugin. And I love, in IT, I love workarounds, because workarounds are literally just technical debt. It is Band-Aids. It's Band-Aids with some Band-Aids with some Band-Aids on it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love it. I love Band-Aids, because what happens is you walk up
plugin afterwards.
Yeah, you walk up and you're like, whoa, this thing has 45 Band-Aids on it, because no one like fixed the root problem. And
that has never happened in WordPress before. We've noticed Band-Aids in our software.
Yeah, when you install that plugin, it's great. It fixes the issue, but there are a few other plugins that I have seen over my time in WordPress that were supposed to be a little workaround for an issue that I have found still running on sites 5 years, 8 years, whatever later. So I
checking back with everyone who's installed that and been like, oh, by the way,
right.
Don't forget to turn that off. Or also, like, what about, like, we could implement and say, hey, in the next update that turns this on, it could throw up a little flag and check and be like, hey, you have this workaround plugin, this fixes it, you can turn that off now. Like, that'd be really cool. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, when they if I recall correctly, and I'm sure I'll get corrected in the comments, but I remember when they were trying the new WordPress admin interface with the MP6 plugin.
I remember that.
Once they actually rolled out the new interface, they deactivated the MP6 plugin for you. Like, they said,
right,
hey,
you don't automatically.
Yeah, you don't need this anymore.
Like, right, because you're like, so funny. I actually was talking about this yesterday. I talked about my brother being in MySpace, right? Back in the day. I've talked about it before. So when they were testing a new version, like it was like MySpace 2.0, and my brother put my profile into it to test it. Like, hey, this is what we're going to launch. They shelved the project and never launched it because Rupert Murdoch, et cetera, et cetera. And my MySpace profile was stuck in the non-existent profile 2.0 forever. That was it. That was the end of my profile.
Nice.
So I got stuck in the whatever those nether regions are between a fix or a test, and you
got stuck in Rupert Murdoch's nether regions, and that's how we'll end the
show. Dun 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 dun.
I want that on a t-shirt. Oh my lord, that's good fun. I got stuck in Rupert Murdoch's nether regions. All right. Well, anyway, I do want to say that Courtney mentioned there were some devs, cost dev, Colin, as she called out, that were being, I don't even want to just say respectful, honestly. I think they were being respectful. They were being taking the issue seriously, concerned about people's needs. They stepped in. They really sort of like, okay, let's all solve this issue together. And that's what I mean about sort of the new wave of, like non-gate kept internet, non-gate kept WordPress, where it's like, not treating people as like peons or like people who don't know anything versus like the developers, and shouldn't even be in this conversation, you and your zip files. But so it's so greatly appreciated when people respond that way and just take other people's problems seriously when you're trying to solve a problem. That's really it. That's all. That's taking people's concerns seriously. That's it.
Do I think that people should use continuous integration? Do I think that people should use best development practices? Yes. Do I? Not really. Like I can say
wonder
one
what some of
thing.
those devs do all the time.
Yeah, I can say one thing and do something different. I can aspire to one day start using CI continuous integration stuff like on all of my plugins and development workflows. Can I do like my friend Steve Grunwell and comment all my code really well and write tests for everything that I do? So
Testing. Mhm.
yeah, could I? Yes, I could. I could conceivably do a lot of things. Will I? Probably not. I'm lazy and I just want to move on.
Yeah.
Like,
I could milk that too. That would be fun.
I hate to tell most people this, but the majority of developers out there, except the ones who absolutely have to stick to WordPress coding standards because they are putting stuff into core that needs to have tests written for it, that has to preserve backwards compatibility. Those are really the only people who are doing things as close to perfect as possible. They're not even doing things
perfectly because otherwise there wouldn't be this bug. So, I mean, isn't that the whole thing? Bugs in software, like we're all like iterations, like we're all like that's okay. Making mistakes and things like that, that's okay, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't all have to be perfect. We can try, we can learn.
I mean, if things were perfect, this bug wouldn't have been introduced in the first place.
Exactly. So maybe they should go back and check their code. Hey, happy birthday, Cusper! It's a dev branch for the birthday boy. What?
Yup.
Also, I just want to point out the water background is pixelated because we are on dev branch.
Yeah, it's fun.
A funny way to be funny. And
the thumbnails for the last 100 and something episodes were all, or not here, but 100 and something months or whatever, were all pixelated just because it was dev and I wanted to make it look dev. So
we're pixelating. Yeah. We're censoring the water. It's dangerous water. It has missions of revolution and
grandeur
within it. So if you decode it, there's a whole bunch of like things in there. So you should try.
You can only do it on a Linux computer.
Ubuntu.
Don't try to use WinZip or whatever.
Yeah. No. You have to do it through the command line. Good luck.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for hanging out with us. Really appreciate it. We're not going to be doing a thing after, but if you do want to go in there and hang out and talk to each other, feel free to do so. You can go over to our aftercooler, WPwatercooler.com/aftercooler, and go hang out with other folks that aren't us. Talk to y'all later. Have a good one.
Love
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. This is our outro. As you can tell, it's not an outro that is pixelated, but maybe I shall pixelate it just to make sure we have something to talk about next episode. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.